Hello, welcome to Sheffield Board Gamers. This is episode 7. My name is Rick. I'm joined today by Samuel. Hello, Samuel.
Hello.
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 Thank you for joining me. It's good to have you.
All right. No problems.
We've got a few games we're going to talk about today. So I've played a few new games which we're going to chat about shortly. We've got a question of the week, which is about two-player games. What two-player games do you enjoy? Are there any good ones or any bad ones?
And then I'm going to talk about some of the games I've played recently.
So, but first of all, I wanted to have a quick chat about a couple of apps that I've downloaded recently. The Seven Wonders app has been out for a while now. It's quite a good app. I've been enjoying playing that one. And the new Seven Wonders Duel app has just been released. So this is a two-player version of Seven Wonders. And it's following the board game, the two-player Seven Wonders Duel game. This is I'd never realised it was out, but I saw an advert for it and I thought, I'll download that. I think it was about £4 something. So it is a premium app. It's a paid app. It's not one of these free ones. But it does work really well. I played it on my phone. I played it on my tablet. It's got all the cards in that you'd expect in there. You can play it against the AI computer. You can play it against other people. If you can link your phones together and play it that way online. It's a really good app, yeah. It's good. Have you played the Seven Wonders one at all? Or?
I've played the Seven Wonders game, the analog version, and it's not my favourite.
Is it not right?
For some reason, I found that one in particular was just melting my brain. There were too many decisions to think about in terms of what cards I want to keep, what strategy do I want to pursue, what should I pass on, what shouldn't I pass on, do I want resources, do I want this, do I want that, and I just couldn't. The first stage was okay, but after that I just was struggling a bit.
Yeah, there is quite a lot of choice in there. But the good thing about the apps is that it really speeds up the game.
Okay.
You can play Seven Wonders in 10 minutes against the computer.
Okay.
And the dual one, if you're pretty quick about it, can probably be about the same as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've never played dual.
Yeah, it's good. It's a really good game. Yeah, it's quite good, and it does match the actual physical game quite well.
Okay.
So yeah, I can recommend them. They're really good.
Yes. Well, an app on that subject. An app I've been playing recently is the app version of Doppelt so Clever, because I bought the physical version about maybe a month ago, and enjoyed it a lot, and then discovered it was on the App Store and downloaded that as well.
Is that the second game? Is that the
second game after Ganz Schön Clever? There's sort of rolled and rolling different dice and crossing off numbers.
Yeah.
So this one's got 5 dice plus white, but it's a little bit more complex. And you've also got the ability to you can unlock power, so you can. I think it's once you've rolled some. Well, before you roll the dice, if you've got some that you've put on a little platter, you can bring some of those back if you've got that power, multiples of those power available, which is quite nice. So you can potentially use a high value dice and then bring some of those ones that you can relegate a lot. Then you can bring some of them back again.
Yeah.
Which is quite good, and I quite enjoy it because I like the combo aspect of the. Of it, I can cross off that, so I can do this and then do that and then do the other. I mean, I've still never beaten the score. I got my very first game of it.
Really?
For some reason, which was a fluky high 297.
Yeah.
Got into the sort of mid 200s, but not got back to that. Then the app's nice enough. You can only play single player. There's no AI and there's no multiplayer, which is a bit of a shame. But it works very well. I think it was £3. And there's a bit of. For 99p, you can buy Challenge 2, although I'm not sure what that is. I haven't tried that yet, so that might be.
That's pretty good, yeah.
A different layout.
I knew the first one was out, but I didn't realise there was an app of the second game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been out. I think it came out earlier this year, possibly.
Yeah, I think they're quite handy, these kind of games, because if you don't have time to sort of sit, meet up with your friends and whatever, or if you're on a trip, you can play, a few games on the tablet or on your phone. They are quite good, some of them. I think some are probably better than others. Yeah,
I've got a few Star Realms is a good one actually on the app as well. That plays nice and quickly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. We talked about that one before. Yeah, that's a really good app, isn't it? There's all sorts of different game modes on there. All the expansions are in there. That's a really good one.
The bit I like a lot is that you have to do all the shuffling. That's quite nice. It automatically does all the shuffling.
Yes, yeah, true.
Speeds that up a lot.
Yeah, for deck building games, yeah, especially it's... does a lot of the work for you, doesn't it? And sort of adding up the scores as well, adding up scores and keeping track of things, all of that's done by the app. So the games have got a lot of that.
All set up as well, things like Agricola. They've got a lot of setup, it just does it, just there, done.
I did download another app as well. This is called Ticket to Ride scoring app.
Okay.
This is a really clever one. What this does, you it's not actually the game Ticket to Ride. This is just a scoring app. But what you do is once you finish the game, so you play the game physically on a board, and then you take a photo, or you have like a scanner on your phone, and it takes a photo of the board. And what it does is it adds up all the scores for you and gives you a score at the end.
That's nice.
So it's really cool. I was a bit sceptical about this. I downloaded it and I had it on my phone for ages, and I never played Ticket to Ride in that time. And I thought, it's probably not going to work properly. It's probably going to be really buggy and not very good. But I managed to play Ticket to the Ride, and I remembered I got the app on my phone, so I thought, I'll just get it out and try it and see what it's like. And it was really accurate. It was surprisingly good, actually. The tickets, what it does is it's really clever. It knows what tickets are available in the game. Yeah. So when you've finished your routes, it looks at what tickets you could possibly have out of those routes, and it gives you a choice. So you don't have to search through like a long list of tickets to say, I've completed this one, I've not completed this one.
Okay.
It gives you like 2 or 3 choices, and then you pick yes or no, I've done it, not done it, or not.
Yeah.
And we had one slight issue where it couldn't recognise one of the routes because of the colouring, I think.
Okay.
Was slightly darker, so we had to... again, it was pretty easy. It just said, I don't recognise what this is, and you tap it and say, this is red, this is red player.
Okay.
Or red route or whatever, and it worked. Yeah, it worked really fine. Good. And it actually added up the scores, and we realised we'd done it wrong on the board. We'd missed a couple out, because, when you put trains down, you add your scores at that point, don't you? You play your trains. We'd forgot to do that a couple of times. So it actually was more accurate than we were. So it was surprisingly good. Yeah, it's a really good one, that.
Somehow, I've only ever played Ticket to Ride once. I think it was Ticket to Ride Europe, I think. But, I don't know, it keeps escaping me for some reason.
I like it. I've got a few of the maps, a few of the different maps. They're quite good. They kind of extend the longevity, because it's not just a different map which feels slightly different. They all have like slightly different rules and slightly different scoring but things as well, so it keeps it fresh. But I was really impressed with it. So that's a good one to check out as well. Ticket to Ride scoring app. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was it's that time of year when Essen comes around. So my Facebook feed has been flooded with people having lots of photos and mentioning what games they've bought and things like that from Essen. So a few friends have been from different various groups that I'm in, and they've played lots of games, played plenty of demos. I've not been myself. I'd love to go one year, but perhaps
so would I.
We'll have to arrange that at some point. But I'm really jealous of all the games people are playing and buying and bringing back. One of the good things about it as well is that people have to make room. So a lot of people are obviously going to Essen and buying 10 games or whatever. You kind of make a bit of room on your shelf for that. So a lot of people have been selling off games as well. So now's a good time to get on the Facebook buying and selling groups, and you might find a few bargains on there if you don't mind second-hand games that people have played. And obviously, I think a lot of board gamers kind of look after them as well, don't they? They're quite proud of them, and they look after them really well. So it's not like you're going to get a battered copy from a second-hand garage boot sale or something. They're going to be pretty good. But
yes, I've bought a few on the Facebook board game sites.
Oh, have you? Yeah,
selling sites before, and they've all been pretty fine and good now. So,
it's good if you're on a bit more of a budget. Keep an eye on those trading groups. There's a few out there, and I bought a few things either locally as well from local people, so you don't have to pay postage and things like that. But Essen seems to be a big hit this year. It seems to be getting bigger and bigger, and people are really loving it and playing plenty of games, which is great. There's always loads of stuff on YouTube, like previews and people reviewing games and things. So you can always look on there and see what the new hot games are that are coming out. What you've been up to then? You've been up to anything recently?
I had a bit of a splurge because I bought the most expensive game I've ever bought. Because I bought a copy of the Settlers of Catan 3D Collector's Edition from eBay.
You brought this along, didn't you? It's the one it comes in a big wooden chest, and it's got the...
it comes in a wooden chest. 3D book tiles, 3D, all 3D and hand painted. The tiles and the rubber and the C bit's wood, but it looks really nice when it's set up, lovely in 3D. I mean, it's actually, you can play it as well. It's not just sort of for show. I was wondering, like, is it sort of gonna? It'll look really nice, but is it actually going to work as a game? And it does actually. There's a couple of minor issues. The round circles are sort of clay plastic, and there's no actual slots on the tiles to put them in, as such. But most of them fit mostly okay. There's one or two ones that are not quite so good, especially if you've got to put the rubbers on. But apart from that, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It was, as you mentioned, it was quite expensive, but I got it essentially as new. I got it off eBay, essentially as new. In you could with the box, you could open the box and then has like a flap at the top, and then you can open the chest without actually sort of taking anything out and undoing anything. So that had been done, but none of the contents had been disturbed.
All right.
So essentially, and they've only ever made 2,500 of them as well. So it's quite rare. And it's got Catan and the Cities and Knights expansion for up to 4 players. No 5 or 6 players, but it's got that as well. And all the necessary bits and things.
So the cards that are in there, are they like the normal cards that you get, or are they deluxeified as well?
Yeah, they're slightly a bit smaller, slightly nicer card stock, and there's some little plastic trays to store them in. So you've got kind of 4 sets of 4 little plastic trays, each of which has got 3 slots in it. So I've got sort of 3 resources in one, and then the other 2 resources and the cards in the other one. Development cards in the other one, and it's got nice little cardboard things for the player raids and the longest road and largest army.
Yeah, they are becoming more popular, these kind of deluxeified games, aren't they? There's a few different versions out of some of the big games,
and there's a lot of fan made versions as well. I think particularly Catan, if you Google sort of 3D Catan or hand painted Catan or whatever, you get any number of hand-painted sets that people have made. There's some really, really quite nice ones, actually. I saw a nice wooden version that somebody had made, taking him nearly 100 hours, I think, or something ridiculous, to do it, to get this custom thing with, custom wooden board, custom cards, custom this, custom that, custom the other.
But yours is like an official... Yeah,
mine was an official
version.
Yeah, probably. I think it was released, 15 years ago or something. Yeah. Slightly got my girlfriend to bring because we were looking at Giant Catan for some reason or other when we were FaceTiming each other, and then we came across a 3D Catan. I thought, I've got to buy this. And then sort of was googling it, and it's what on eBay for in the UK. It was only in New York, so I didn't have to go very far, fortunately. So I'm going to buy that. And I seem to have spent some money on that.
Yeah, it's still a popular game. I mean, we've got in the club we've got a club copy, which is an older version, just the standard version, and I always see people playing it and enjoying it. It's one of those games that kind of it is a bit older now, but it's still going, and people still really enjoy it and obviously play it and think it's great. And your version obviously makes that even better as well. Yeah,
it makes it look a lot nice. I mean, it's obviously there's a lot of luck in it, but. I don't mind that in a game. I quite like a game where it's a bit chaotic and a bit...
Well, it's not massively long, though, is it? It's not like spending 3 or 4 hours on it.
It's a bit long with the expansion, but generally it's...
Well, what expansion is it? It's the there?
Cities and Knights. That can make it a bit longer, or possibly a bit more tactical. So some people don't like it, some people do. It's kind of what you're trying to get out of a game of Catan, I suppose, really. I mean, sometimes I'll play with it in, sometimes I won't. It depends what takes my fancy at the time, really.
Yeah, it's another game with a lot of expansions, isn't it? A lot of variety in there. So I think the first time I ever played it was with the Seafarers one.
That's one of the first times I played. We had the same with Kesty. You got Seafarers and Cities and Knights with this huge game at Sunday session, which I think I actually won in the end.
All right.
First 13 points, I ended up winning.
Yeah.
I got a good tool setup or something. I can't remember now. Getting quite a few of the development card type things.
Yeah.
I think was
they always help out, don't they? Yeah.
That sort of. It sort of snowballed a bit and ran away a bit. I was changing numbers around as well, so I was making it because we got those in the expansion, so that was allowing me to profit even more and push things to my advantage a lot. So that was
Okay, well, one of the games I played recently is a game called Walls of York. This is a fairly new one. This is from 2018. It's by Emiliano Venturini, and it's a quick kind of filler-like game where you get a grid of like squares in front of you. Each player gets their own kind of grid of squares, and you roll some dice, and the dice will tell you what you need to enclose in the walls of York. So there are these little plastic wall pieces which you build up. You roll another dice, and it tells you what shape you can build. So it might be an L shape or an S shape, or it might just be a straight wall. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to enclose the pieces that are mentioned on the dice within the walls. So you might want so many huts, you might want 3 churches and some wells, but also on the board as well there's some that you don't want to include, which are like negative points at the end, which are the Vikings. So basically what you're doing is you're rolling your dice, you're getting some walls from supply, and you're kind of building building around and trying to enclose an area on this board, and everybody's doing that all at the same time. Once you've done that, once you've actually enclosed it, you count up all your points. There's some coins in there, and you make sure you've got some points. You knock off points for any Vikings that you've got in there, and then you basically just clear your board down and then do the same thing again. So you do it twice. It's pretty straightforward. It's really easy to learn, and I think that's probably to its detriment. I think it's a bit too simple for me. If you're after like a family game or something that's a bit straightforward, it's probably going to be fine, or something maybe to play with the kids. But there's not a lot to it. I think once you've played it a couple of times, you're probably going to have, played as much as this as you want to. Really, it is fairly quick. It could play 4 players in about 30 minutes ish. It's really overproduced. it's to the point where it comes in a big sort of Ticket to Ride box. And it could have been like a pad and a couple of dice and some cards or something, but it's got like a cardboard tower that holds the dice that tell you what you need to enclose in your walls. The artwork's not that brilliant, I don't think. Looking at the actual board itself, it looks a bit messy and a bit splodgy. It's not particularly really clear what you're sort of enclosing. The art is it's almost like 3D from above. But it's not all that brilliant. I think there are some extra optional rules in the rule book. If you enclose it perfectly without having any spare walls, and the longest wall, if you've got the longest wall, you can get some bonus points. So I think they realised it was a little bit simple and they needed to add a little bit to it. But even with these extra rules, I think it's a fine game. It works, and it's okay, but it's not something special, I don't think. In fact, I played it with I think at the Sunday session, and one of the people I was playing it with, she said, what's to stop you is just copying another person. So if you want one person's, because everybody has the same layout board, you can just copy what somebody else is doing. And they've actually thought of that in the rules, and they said, you're not supposed to look at other people's board and copy them. You just stick to your own board. But that's a bit of a cop out, that really. So there's a slight problem in that.
Yeah, it is rather, isn't it? You just don't look.
Yeah, there's nothing to stop you just copying what somebody else is doing and then doing your own thing. So it's okay, but it's nothing amazing. So that's Walls of York.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame, really. Yes, I saw you playing that. And the walls look nice, but yeah.
Yeah, it could be a pad, really. It could be just a pad that you kind of draw on, and the dice could be cards. It could be something in a lot smaller box and a lot simpler. And I think that probably works to its benefit. The fact that it's this huge game with big plastic walls and a frame that you put together with these tiles in, it's a bit it's a bit OTT in a bad way rather than a good way. I don't mind a bit of bling in the games and them looking nice, but yeah, this one's a bit too much for what it is.
Well, something else I've been playing on a vaguely similar note, something I picked up when I had a brief cruise to Amsterdam at the end of September with a friend and his dad for the friend's birthday. A 2-night cruise, got a couple of games there, one of which is a quite recent release, this year I think. It's called Era Medieval Age. It's designed by Matt Leacock, and it plays 2 to 4 in around an hour. It's sort of a bit of an, if you like, an evolution of the roll and write, in that it's a roll and build. So it's kind of rather than rolling dice and then writing things on a pad, you're rolling dice and actually building things on a little board. And the board, for the large part, is nice because actually all the little bits have got little, almost like pegs at the bottom, so they kind of fit into little. The board has got like a grid of holes in it where you put everything in, and so things when you put them on will, go in the holes with little studs on the bottom in places, so they'll go in and they'll fit and stay there, and pretty much without exception they'll all fit wherever. One or two are a smidge loose, but there's been no problems with it not something being out of alignment and not quite fitting, so that's been good. The only slight thing with the board is it can be hard to read because this sort of indents for all the numbers and the icons and things, and in poor light it's quite hard to see those sometimes. Most of it's just sort of tracks with the numbers, so you can kind of work out how many you've got of a particular resource or whatever. But it's a bit annoying. But the game itself is really nice. So you'll start with a few buildings. You've got a little keep which goes right in the middle, and then you start with 3 walls, 3 long houses in a farm, which you can then put wherever you want on your board. You'll get 4 dice, and then each round you everybody rolls their dice simultaneously, collects the resources. Then you have to feed your workers. So you've got to spend 1 food for every dice you've got. Then each dice has got a skull on one, or has got one side that has a skull as well as other icons on it. And if you roll that, you can't re-roll it. And then if you get then depending on how many skulls you've got, a different effect will happen. Most of which are bad, but sometimes, most of which are bad for you. But there's a couple of them that are actually bad for your opponents rather than you, which is a nice little twist. So if you sort of, oh no, now I've got these skulls. If I can roll one more, actually it'll become not bad for me. It'll be bad for everybody else instead, which is quite nice. And then after that, if everyone's done their skulls, you go on to the build phase, which is one of the main bits. So one of the icons on the dice is a hammer, and you get the number of hammers you've rolled in the rolling step is how many buildings you can build that round, which is a nice sort of simple way of doing it. So then you can freely choose from the buildings that are available. Obviously, you've got to have the resources to build them. So the buildings will do different things. So some will give you extra dice. So there's 4 colours of dice. They do different amounts and they do different things. So the dice represent your the population of your village, your town. So there's ones that will get you food and basic resources. There's some sort of fancy ones that might get you the fancy resource, which is trade goods. There's sort of some other ones that are a bit more fighty, because the last bit of the round is you compare the number of swords you've got with everybody else, and if you've got more than other people, you can steal resources off them a little bit as well. And then there are some dice in buildings that will allow you to re-roll things, and that will allow you to re-roll skulls in some cases, or indeed just physically just set the side of a die if you want. One building will allow you to actually manually set a dice after your first roll. Because when you roll, you've got 1 roll, then you've got up to 2 more rolls of any dice you want that aren't skulls. So you roll them all, move any to the side that are skulls. You do this actually behind a screen as well. So you move any skulls, then re-roll any of the remaining dice if you wish, up to twice more. So you can roll 3 of them, then roll a different set of 3 or whatever. And then so the game carries on until a set number of building types have been depleted entirely. Then you finish the round, and then you score, and you can get bonus points for scoring the most culture points during the game. Some of the dice sides will just get you flat points, and you can also get the most points for walling in the biggest area. Walling areas is quite useful for various things. In particular, it will double any buildings in there, double their base score. Any bonus points they get don't get doubled, and also you can't, if the things are inside the walled area, they can't be removed by any of the skull or by a lot of the skull effects. So that's quite useful. So I deviated from what the buildings do as well. So some get you dice, some get you resource generation on a turn, which can be useful. Some will get you bonus points in certain ways. The ones will do other things, like to set dice or stop certain things from happening and things like that. But it's a really nice game. I bought it, just found it in a shop when I was over in Amsterdam, and thought this looks quite nice. Picked it off the shelf and thought, it's quite a big box because it's got all these buildings are probably 3D buildings. I thought this looks like it's going to be some sort of Tapestry-esque or Terraforming Mars-esque huge, great long 3-4 hour thing with 1 million pieces. Turned it over, I was like, this looks nice. It's all these fancy looking buildings, and it's actually a really nice game. It's apparently, according to the BGG, it's a spiritual successor to Roll Through the Ages, the Bronze Age, which itself was a dice-based variant of Through the Ages, which I had last year. I've now sold. It's really nice putting the buildings on. There's a lot of variety in each game. Although you start with the same things, you can put them wherever you want. So the games do have a different feel to them. It works absolutely fine in 2-player, or you go to a slightly less of the buildings, run out and take a few off. But it looks really nice when you're playing it.
I played it with you. I've only played it once, but I quite enjoyed it. What you mentioned about the boards, I've seen a few people have kind of painted or they've highlighted the indents because they are indented, aren't they? It's just that it's slightly difficult to see.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and do that at some point. Was my plan. I haven't quite got around to it yet.
They look quite cool, They look quite professional. Once you've coloured them in, it does really stand out. And this is kind of overproduced as well game, but in a good way, rather than Halls of York, which is in a bad way. It's in a good way in that the board itself is really good. It holds all the pieces really well. All the buildings are different plastic pieces, different shapes and things, aren't they? Yeah. Which is really good. And it all looks really nice when you're building it up. I like the different strategies as well. You can go for different buildings depending on what you roll in or what you want to roll in the future, and kind of build up, towards a certain point, which is quite good. I really enjoyed it. And like I say, it looks really nice as well.
Definitely nice.
With all the little plastic buildings, and when you're finished, you've got like a board, haven't you, with kind of a city in front of you with all walls, and
it's got that aspect to it, which is always nice.
I've got a couple of first impressions. I'm not going to spend too long on these. These are games I've only played once, so I'm not really reviewing them. I'm just telling you my experiences of playing them. The reason I wanted to mention them is that they are quite big games, and it's the first time I've played them personally. But I do see them being played quite regularly at the club, and they are quite popular games. So the first one, and probably I think the oldest one, is a game called Terra Mystica. This is from 2012, and it's an asymmetrical kind of engine building game where you're playing a race of fantasy creatures like dwarfs or elves or something like that, and you're kind of building up a territory. You're putting land out on the territory, exploring it, you're building buildings. It's got like a magic system where you've got these little magic beads that represent magic, and then they allow you to do different things.
Power, I think.
Yeah, powers. This was it's quite a long game. It probably took us about 2.5 hours to play. But it didn't seem like that because of the stuff that was going on and being involved with it. It did go quite quickly, and I really enjoyed it. I loved playing it. And then other people had different powers, which you take advantage of. But it's all really well balanced, even though all the different races have got really different powers. If you use them to your advantage and everybody's doing the same, they all kind of even out in the end. So everybody's going for different things. Like some people are building and exploring, some people are, using the magic to get points that way. So there's all sorts of different things you can do in it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of variety as well. So I could play the same race again and try and get better at playing that, or I could go for a different race and try a different strategy with a different power. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I've played it a couple of times. I know Scott Wilbur really likes it. It's quite complex to get head around. It's tricky to work out.
It is, yeah. I found that I've not played it before, and it is quite complicated. But I found that once you've played it a couple of rounds, it does all kind of make sense.
Yeah.
The iconography is really good.
Yeah, it is.
And the graphics are really good on there, and it kind of all flows and it works well.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps.
And one thing it does do is that once you've set up the game and started it, there's no hidden information or anything, or unknowns for the rest of the game. All the information you need is there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There's no dice or cards.
No, nothing. Yeah, once it's all set up, because each round you'll have, for example, one bit you have bonuses for certain buildings. I think it's building certain buildings in a round, and there's like a thing that happens at the end of the round, and you can see all of those from the outset. So you know that in round 5 you're going to get this building and that, so you can plan through the game if you're so able. So.
No, it's one that I really enjoyed, and I asked Scott about another game as well. There's another game called Gaia Project, which just is like a re-implementation, but he said he preferred Terra Mystica over that one. He said it was a bit more involved, and
I've not played Gaia Project, although what I do know is that they did something with because there's a bit of a track where you've got the 4 elements and you're pushing I think mages up that or something to try and have the majority in each one, and they revamped that in Gaia Project and made it a bit more tied into the rest of the board somehow. It was one of the main changes. And it also set in space rather than on Fantasy Planet. You're conquering planets rather than a bit of land. But yeah.
So that was Terra Mystica. I'm looking forward to playing that one again. The next one that I played was a game called Tapestry. This is a brand new one. This is from 2019, and this is designed by Jamie Stegmaier. And this is it's a civilization building game to some extent.
Yeah.
In that it is quite abstracted. There's 4 tracks around the edge of the board. So it's a big square board with kind of a map in the middle with hexagons on it, and there are these 4 tracks around the edge. And you, again, similar to Terra Mystica, you get a race with a power, and you build. There's plastic buildings that you can build, and they go onto your own. You've got your own little personal board as well, where you can build your buildings. Use your resources to build these hexes on the cities on the map, on the main map, and push yourself up these tracks. So there's like a science track, military track. Yeah. There's various different ones. And
sort of as an exploration one, I think.
Exploration, that's it, yeah. And you get cards. The cards are like your technologies that you can buy. So these cards will give you different things. So you can buy those and head towards those as well. And there are also something called these Tapestry cards as well. And Tapestry cards give you like a special power that you can use.
in each round. You get sort of a bonus for each round.
Yeah. So again, this is one that I really enjoyed. I'd like to play it again. There has been some complaints that it is too abstract for a kind of civilization type game. You're not really playing a civilization game as such. It's more of a Euro game where you're sort of moving, cubes on tracks and things. But I think after a few plays, you get more. I'll get more of an idea of sort of how it plays and whether it's going to stand the test of time. But I quite enjoyed it, and I'd happily play it again.
I've played it once.
Oh, you've played it, have you? Yeah.
Yeah, I played it once because Adam's got it. So I played it at my house. He brought it to mine once. Four of us played it then. I thought it was quite nice. The sort of main mechanics to go up the tracks things was quite good, and you could be able to use, you can combine things and do things quite nicely. Like you said, it's not very civilization buildy from the I've had. I mean, as it's a stone my game, it's massively overproduced. It's got some very nice miniatures.
Yeah.
And nice building things. Although I did feel that sort of all the because you've got when you build things, they go on a little 9x9 grid that sticks to your player board. I did feel that was a bit kind of meh. Didn't really add much for me. It kind of looked like I was just stacking them in a warehouse, or not a warehouse, but I didn't really feel like I was making a city or anything. They just like I was putting them all next to each other for no real reason.
Yeah.
And you got bonuses for sort of complete the 3x3s in it, or a complete row or column, which I felt was a bit. I felt they could have done more with that possibly, and had bonuses on there that you could use as well to tie back into the main board or something, or I don't know.
It could have, it could have done with slightly maybe streamlining, maybe one of the mechanisms taken out or something to make it slightly put into an expansion or something like that. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, that the buildings that you put on your own little map, there are some dots on there that you can't cover up, so you kind of have to. Yeah,
but then of course that bit never comes through, because all the buildings are 3D, then that bit's not, so it all kind of looks a bit.
Yeah, and you get points for rows and columns that you've completed, don't you?
Yeah, and you get bonuses for that, or for a 3x3 square.
So I quite enjoyed it. The only thing is though with this, it's absolutely huge. It's massive. We played it 3-player, and it absolutely filled our table. We had bits hanging off the edge, and we only just fit onto a big table. So if you're playing like 4 or 5 player, you're going to need a couple of tables pushed together probably. But it was okay, and I'm happy to try that one again. The last one that I want to talk about quickly is Terraforming Mars. So this is like a really popular game, and I see people playing this all the time, and I managed to get it played at last. This is from 2016, and this is Jacob Frixelius is the designer. This is about terraforming Mars. You're playing over several generations, and you're playing a big company that is trying to make Mars livable. So you're raising the temperature, you're creating oxygen, you're playing various cards to do that. Similar to the other games, you start off with a corporation which gives you a special power, which you can use, which you can take advantage of. And then the main part of the game is these decks of cards. You get a big thick stack of cards, which is all the different things that you can do. And these cards have a cost associated with them. So like a price, it costs you to actually play that card. And you get points for playing the cards, and again they'll do different things like raising the temperature, or putting animals onto the planet, or putting plants onto the planet, various different things like that. I played this. I think it had one of the expansions in it, but I'm not sure which one, because like I said, I've only played it once, so I'm not sure about that. But we played. I can probably tell you which one. I've played most of all the expansions. We had there were some corporations at the start which you pick from, and I think there were some extra cards in the main deck. I'm not sure what else. I'm not sure what was in the base game or what was expansion, to be honest. Okay. But, I really enjoyed it. I thought we played this 5-player. Yeah, this was a 5-player game, and it took us over 3 hours, but. A few of us, it was the first time playing it, so you kind of expect that with the first play. It took a bit longer. I can see it being a lot quicker. In fact, I think the last time I went to the games club night, there were a couple of people playing a game, and then they immediately packed up and then played another game of it straight afterwards. Yeah. So you can play it a couple of times in an evening. I think the fastest I've seen people finish a game is about 45 minutes. Yeah. When they absolutely chuck it, 2 players absolutely flying through it. They know what they're doing. 45-50 minutes. Yeah, it was really good. You kind of find combos in the cards, so there are a lot of combinations of stuff. So like one card will cost you a lot of money, but then you'll find another card that gives you a bit of money to put towards that, and you can save money from previous rounds as well. So looking for those combos and playing those and getting stuff built up, I really enjoyed it. It was really good. It's a fantastic game. There's loads of expansions out for it as well, I think, isn't there? The different maps.
Yeah, I've played games with. They just kickstarted a new one, but all the ones I've played with all the other ones, and they're all pretty good.
Yeah. So it's taken me a couple of years to get around to playing this one, but I really enjoyed it. So that one is Terraforming Mars.
Yeah, I've played that one a lot.
Have you?
In the last sort of 6-7 months, it's suddenly gone boing, or it's just been played and played and played and played and played. We've suddenly got 4 or 5 of us that are just play and play and play and play.
Yeah.
We've had times where we've played it 3 times in a row over the course of a few hours. Several hours in a day. Yeah. But it's one of my favourite games because I do really like the engine building and the comboing aspect. And sort of eventually I put that down. That gives me a discount on these, and I put that one down. That gives me more of a discount, and I can draw some cards, and then I can put that one down and that one down. If I play this kind of card, I get all these things, and this money back, and that money back, and blah 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 blah. And I do this and that, and now I've got this card that gives me this, and this card that does this, and that kind of thing, which is quite nice. And you can go for very very varied strategies each time as well, but still do equally well. And I've got the Steam version as well, which I played a couple of times online and a couple of times in solo.
Yeah.
Which works okay. It's only got the base game, and it is all right. I mean, it's about I got it on sale. I think it's normally about £15. I got it for about £8 or something, £9. I think it's been single played over UI, but I think the UI is fine. There's a few things. I mean, you could take a few clicks to do some other things. So some bits it actually takes longer to do on the app than it would do in the game. Sort of particularly in terms of putting cubes on cards and things. But it'll automatically calculate discounts, for example, which is quite nice. And you can it run for the most part it's fine. And online seems to work. So the 2 games I've played, I think they're in the process of making an iPhone app as well, iOS app. But I just really like it. It's a really nice game to. I'm sort of just finding that I really like sort of engine buildery combo based games a lot because they can be quite. I sort of find they can be very satisfying when you get a nice combo going or a nice engine going. It works. And I like some of the mechanics in the game, the production things, and that you get in the fact you get 4 cards that start around you, or you draft cards, so it started around is the best way to do it. And that you can sort of go with the cards. Oh, that card's perfect for me. Yes, that works absolutely beautifully. I want that. And that makes your engines look really good.
Yeah, it's one of those where all the cards are really good. You get a hand of cards
they're all
like
different.
4, and they're all brilliant. Yeah, and you want to keep all of them, but you have to pick one and pass the rest
and
on.
Every card's different as well, which is quite nice. There's no duplicate cards. Some cards are very similar, but there's no 2 cards that are exactly the same.
One slightly strange thing is what in the artwork, some are like photo realistic, some are photos, and some are like illustrations.
Yeah,
that didn't really affect the gameplay or the my enjoyment of it really, but that was a little bit strange. But I think that was just come from various artists working on the cards to get the artwork done.
Yeah,
it just looked a little bit strange.
Not really but too much.
The icons are really good. The flow of the game is really good. Like I said, the different strategies are. That you can go through, and all the combos and things are really good. Yeah, it's easy to see why a lot of people really like this one, and that it's done so well. And
it plays nicely at 2 players as well. It actually takes longer at 2 player because you there's only 2 of you doing all of the because the game only ends when you've got all the temperature up, the oxygen, and up, and all the oceans down. And if you've got only got 2 of you, you've got only 2 people to cover all of those bases, as it were.
Yeah.
Whereas in a sort of a 3, 4, 5 or 4, 5 player game, you've got a lot of people doing that, so it could end a lot faster. In a few generations. So it can take ages. I've had games lasting 3, 4, 5 hours. Well, we've just not been terraforming. It's been going on for ages, which can help you get a lot of points. It depends whether you're going for a terraforming strategy or engine building strategy. Really. Another much lighter game I picked up recently at Patriot Games is a game called Point Salad, which, as the title suggests, is a point salad game. This is a really nice one. I've played it absolutely loads. I only bought it about 3 weeks ago, and I must have played it, I don't know, 2 dozen times or something. So it's basically you've got a deck of 108 cards. One side of the cards has a type of vegetable type thing. So there's 6. So there's tomatoes, lettuces. There's tomato, lettuce, onion, carrot, pepper, cabbage. So there's 18 of each. You vary the deck depending on the player count. But and then on the other side of every card, there's a way of scoring. So it might be 2 points per cabbage, or it might be most cabbages get you 10 points, or it might be 3 points per tomato, but -1 per lettuce and -1 per cabbage or something. And so at the start of the game, you have 3 decks with the scoring sides face up, and then turn the top 2 from each deck face over. So you've got 6 vegetable side up, and then you can either take any 2 of the vegetable cards or any one of the scoring cards and put that in front of you on your turn. That's your turn. So so the idea is you're trying to collect particular vegetables, where you might go, well, that scoring card works well for me, I'll take that one instead. And the one other thing you can do is, optionally, on your turn, you can turn one of your point scoring cards into a vegetable card. And generally I found that you'll do that. You'll take a scoring card and immediately turn it over into a vegetable card, because it's got because the score on the scoring side of the card, it's got a little icon show you what vegetables on the other side, which is very useful.
Yeah. So you don't have to flip it over and have a look. It's on there.
Clever.
Yeah,
so you can,
got you.
Yeah, so often I'll find that, like I said, you'll take one and just turn it straight over.
Yeah.
But you could do that. You can do that once per turn as an optional extra thing, and then the game carries on until all the cards are gone, and then you add up your scores. But I really like it because it's really straightforward to set up, and it's lots of combos depending on what you can. I'm going to start with that, and then you might go, I've got this and that, and they go, that card's perfect for what the things I've picked up so far. It's quite nice. Or I've got even more points per carrot now. Yay! It's sort of just nice for getting a bit of a combos going, a bit of a whatever. And I've played it for 2 players. You're only meant to play with about, I think it's a third of the deck, but I've played quite a few games with my girlfriend where we've used the entire deck. I've got multiple hundreds of points, and I've got, this card's got me 35 points, this one's got me 70, this one's got me nonsense amount of points, which is not what was really intended, but it is quite fun.
Yeah, I've seen this one being played a couple of times, and I've not tried it myself, but it looks quite good. How long is it? How long does it take?
I mean, 15-20 minutes for a game.
Oh yeah, so it's fairly quick.
It's pretty short. Yeah, it's a pretty short game.
Yeah.
And it goes. You just take a couple of cards or a card. So
I quite like those kind of quick games like Sushi Go and things like that, where you kind of, you can play it quickly and then move on to something else. And this sounds like similar sort of thing.
And I like the art style as well. It's a nice sort of cartoon, colourful art style, which is really nice. And the box is huge. You've got twice as much space in the box as you need for cards. So hopefully they'll be bringing out some expansions eventually. It's certainly a game you could put more cards into quite easily, I think. And also, again, that's a recent release that's come out this year, I think. But it plays up to 6 as well.
All right, that's good. Yeah.
6. Yeah, up to 6, and I played it once with 6, and that was fine.
Yeah.
Because turns are so fast, there's generally not a huge amount of downtime.
Yeah, that's good then, because sometimes it's difficult to find a game that, a quick game that plays 6 or whatever, 5 or 6. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this one. It sounds like a good game.
Yes, well, I will definitely bring that along again.
So, question of the week is about 2-player games. Specifically, have you got a favourite 2-player game? We do play 2-player games at the club. Sometimes if there's a couple of people that come late or something and they just need something to play with, while we wait for another group to finish, sometimes we'll play a 2-player game. Sometimes people specifically organise it because they want to play one of the bigger games that takes quite a while, and they'll organise that and play it between them. Of course, you do get people who play, like you said, Terraforming Mars 2-player and things like that as well. So even the ones that aren't specifically designed for 2 players, people will jump in and play those. I play a lot of 2-player games with Tracy, my wife. She sometimes will play the weekend and stuff, and I think that's a lot of publishers want to put a 2-player mode into the games. So it's quite a popular player count, isn't it? If you're playing with a spouse or a family member or something like that. So there are quite a lot of 2-player games that are either slightly smaller than the big version. So there are 2-player versions of the bigger games. So things like Caverna. I think that's a 6-player, and it comes in a huge, massive box, and it's a bigger, longer, more complicated game. There's a smaller version called Cave versus Cave. And then you've got 2-player specific ones which only play 2-player. And they're things like Jaipur and
Patchwork.
Patchwork is a good one. Yeah, I played that a couple of times. They're generally slightly quicker as well, aren't they? They're slightly...
Can be. I mean, there's things like Twilight Struggle, which obviously is a bigger game.
Yeah.
It's 2-player only.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of bigger games that are quite longer and a bit more involved. There's the Star Wars one, Rebellion. That looks like a good 2-player game. And like you said, Twilight Struggle. I've not played that one, but that looks quite interesting as well. Quite a good game. So generally, if I'm at home and I'm playing with Tracy, we'll play something like Carcassonne or Splendor or something like that. That's not specifically 2-player, but it will accommodate 2 players. Quite like Seven Wonders Duel. Seven Wonders is probably one of my favourite games, and that has a 2-player mode, but it's a bit wonky in that you have like an extra hand and you kind of pass cards between you and this other dummy player. It's not brilliant. So the dual version kind of solves that problem for me and makes the Seven Wonders game 2-player, which is really good. So I really like that one. I'll play that one quite a lot.
Yeah, I'll play. I mean, I've played more recently a few 2-player games with my girlfriend who's very into games. One of the reasons we got together, really. But I've played quite a few with my mum, who I've got into seems to be quite liking quite a lot of games recently. Since I joined the club, really. If I go back over there, because they don't live very far away from me, they're in Sheffield as well.
All right, yeah.
So if I go over there, I'll often bring a game or two. I'll always bring a game or two, and we'll play various things. So she quite like things like Agricola, things like that. She was quite keen on. But yes, it is a mixture of some things that are not specifically 2-player, but will work fine 2-player. So things like Agricola, or Splendor, as you mentioned, or Spice Road, things like that.
Yeah.
And then some things that are specifically 2-player, like Patchwork, which I think is a really good 2-player game, one of my favourites. I mean, I'm particularly good at spatial awareness type games, so that obviously helps me a bit. I played a lot of number 9 as well. That's quite works.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
You play that so close. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of one of those games where, like, an infinite number of people can play as long as you've got the components.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's 2 or 100. You can all play the same game.
My girlfriend made a giant version of that with card and things, and then we've built all the pieces out of Lego as well.
Oh wow!
They're not all the colours right. It's a bit haphazard, but it does work. They all fit together, obviously, but it's a bit of a. Like pulling some of our Lego in.
There are some mechanisms that don't really work as a 2-player. So sometimes drafting, if you're drafting cards, that doesn't really work. But like I said, Seven Wonders Duel, that is kind of a drafting game. And Jaipur as well, to some extent, that's kind of a drafting game where you've got like a market in the middle and you get to swap cards in and out of that. Another one that doesn't really work is bidding, like in auctions and things like that. So
that doesn't work.
Sometimes that's a bit tricky 2-player.
And hidden role games, obviously. Although I didn't know there was a 2-player hidden role game. I know. One is a robot. You got to pretend. I think one of you trying to work out whether the other one's a robot or not. I can't remember the details, but hidden role games generally need a few more players. Yeah,
even though these mechanisms don't really work, there are some games generally that will use those kind of mechanisms and put them into a 2-player game and they work fine. Especially now there's more and more games coming out. There's more and more variety. So maybe a couple of years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, you were a bit limited to either playing 2-player only games or the 2-player version of a game. But now, whatever mechanism you can think of, there's probably a 2-player game version of that somewhere.
I've got a fair few 2-player only games because I've got Patchwork. I've got War Chest, which is sort of 2-player only area control thing with really nice sort of poker chip tile thing. Tiles you pull out of a bag, which is really nice. And Skull Collar, which is sort of a 2-player asymmetric, many small things versus one big thing kind of.
Oh, is that the one where you've got like one's a big monster and the other's like attacking him? Yeah, that sounds really good. I've heard a review of that. Yeah, it sounds really good.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Still only actually played one of the 4 big monsters, so hopefully we'll get onto another one of them. But it's quite nice that it's quite simple actually, but I quite like it. You sort of got a hand of cards and you'll choose. You've got 2 or 3 actions a turn. Most of that's you usually use those to play cards. Move your heroes to attack and things. But it's really nice. What else have we got? Patchwork, obviously, which I really like. And I've played lots. And was undefeated out for a while until I eventually lost my role. I think I won my first 15 games of that or something.
All right.
Which is I don't know, impressive.
Yeah.
I've lost a few now, but I do like it.
Have you played any of the other ones? There's some other slightly bigger games where you get those kind of tetromino kind of pieces and you put them together. That's what Patchwork is, isn't it? You put it onto a board. But there's some bigger ones. I can't remember what they're called now. But Cottage Garden and
I've played Cottage Garden once.
Have you played any of those?
I played Cottage Garden once. I mean, arguably Era has a bit of that, fitting things onto a board.
Yeah, you mentioned that was quite good at 2-player as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that works fine too.
So you don't necessarily need to have a 2-player game So a lot of games will have a 2-player. You can play 2 players, and they'll play perfectly well.
Yeah.
What about some of the bigger games? Have you ever played War of the Ring or anything like that?
No, I haven't. No, I've seen Scott playing that once, I think.
All right, yeah.
But no.
One good style of game that I found that works well 2 players is the escape room style games. Things like Unlock and Exit and things like that. I found that they translate quite well to 2 players. I found that if you have like more than 4, sometimes you kind of have to share the cards out, and you don't always get to get involved in the puzzles.
Yeah,
and things.
You get a bit too many people trying to do it.
With 2 players, you kind of you are really involved with it, and you're both really involved with it. So they're quite good, I find. Mm-hmm. What about if you're buying a game and it doesn't have a 2-player mode? Would that dissuade you from buying it if it was like 3 or 4 players or 3 to 5?
Potentially, it kind of depends on the game and who I might play it with. And if it's like if you sort of played it mostly in the club, that's probably okay, because I'll be likely to play it more than 2 there anyway.
We are quite fortunate in that regard, aren't we? That we'll get people to play our games.
Yeah.
No matter their player.
If I'm only likely playing it at home, it might be a bit of an issue.
Yeah. I have actually avoided games because they don't have a 2-player mode. I bought the Tomb Raider game, Tomb Raider Legend, I think it is. I didn't realise it was on my Amazon wish list, and Tracy bought it me for my birthday. And it's a 3 or 4-player game. You can't play 2-player. And that's because you kind of attack each other and you're like stealing cards off each other. It's one of those kind of take that sort of games. So with 2 players, it wouldn't really work, because if you didn't have the treasure, you'd know the other person would have it. So it's a bit, if I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have put it on my list and asked for it. But some card games don't really play 2 players as well. They play 3 or 4 players, and that kind of has. I've picked them up, looked at the play count, and thought, I'll probably not get as much play out of that as I could, so I'll put it back.
Yeah. I mean, one of the games that doesn't technically support 2 players is Catan, actually. The box is 3 to 4 players. I mean, I have played it with 2, and it isn't as good. There's too much space on the board, really. There's not enough overlapping, but which is a bit. So it's not quite as good to play. It works, but it's not really ideal.
I think because publishers think 2-player is quite a desirable play count, people want to play 2-player games. Sometimes they'll shoehorn in, a 2-player mode where it's not really appropriate, or it doesn't work as well. But it does kind of work in some respects. But I
think the least enjoyable game I played in 2-player that plays more was Photosynthesis, actually, which I bought, and I played it 2-player with my mum, and it was just a bit dull, because the idea is you're sort of competing for board space, but because there's only 2 of us, you've got so much space, it's ridiculous. There's just no real competition. It was fairly, just wasn't fun, really. Yeah. So I would definitely not. Well, I personally wouldn't want to play that in 2-player again. Obviously, your mileage may vary, but. In fact, actually, I've sold the game because I sort of got bored of the game as a whole, because the start of the game was just the same every time. You start with 2 things on the outside, and then your first couple of moves are generally the same. There wasn't a variety, sort of game to game variety for me.
So we do play quite a few 2-player games at the club, and I actually put a message on Facebook to ask what other games people play. So Evan replied, and he mentioned a couple of games that I was trying to mention. One was Memoir 44. This is the World War II kind of miniatures game. It's not really miniatures, kind of a mix between miniatures and Euro. I've only played it once, but I really enjoyed it. That's quite a good game. Yeah,
I played it a couple of times at the Treehouse with a friend. Who quite likes his war games.
Yeah.
Sort of card-based things. You can try and play this card and move these troops and so on. And I quite liked it. It's all right.
I think it's one of the ones where you can play more than one, but you kind of share a side. You have a side each, and you kind of share resources, don't you? Kind of thing.
I think so. I've not tried it like that, but yeah.
Yeah. Another one that you mentioned was a game called Undaunted. I've not heard of this one, but this is another World War II type game. This is a strategy deck building game. And then Tom C, who's a contributor and co-host to this show, he's mentioned a game called Fox in the Forest, which is a trick-taking game. That's a recommendation from Tom. And then
the other one to chat out is Hero Realms and Star Realms are very good.
Oh yeah, players. Of course, yeah.
They're very nice.
Yeah.
To play.
Yep, and like you said, the apps for those are really good as well.
Yep.
So even if you don't have somebody else to play with, you can play them play them on your phone, and still get the experience.
Yeah.
But they are good in real life as well. I quite like deck building games. I quite like Dominion and things like that. So the Star Realms and the Hero Realms ones I really like those. Yeah.
Well, have we managed to mention 2-player games without mentioning Magic the Gathering?
Yeah.
We did. Anyway,
if you've got a deck,
there are games like that as well.
I don't mind playing it. If you've got like one of these pre-made decks that you kind of just play against each other and have fun. If you've got a deck that you spent £300 on and you trash anybody that you play against, that's not really what I would call fun.
There's too many cards in that for me to really get going. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Same here.
I did try and get into Keyforge a bit, but I found that I actually stopped because I found the game far too swingy. For me, it was ridiculous.
I've got a few decks, but I've hardly played it. I've only played it a couple of times.
I bought a couple of decks, and I never won a game, which wasn't helping. But I mean, in one game against my mum, I had 5 Ember and she had none. At the end of the next turn, I had done and she had 5.
Yeah, it can be quite a swingy, can't it? With the creatures as well. Sometimes you'll have like a huge row of creatures, and then your opponent will play a couple of cards, and then suddenly they'll all disappear or get destroyed or whatever. So
yeah, I've had a few games where I thought I was doing quite well, and then suddenly
I don't know if some of the new decks fix some of that, because there are some newer decks out now with new factions and things. I've not played any of those, but like I say, I've got 3 or 4 decks of the original one, and I've hardly played those, so I've never bothered buying any more, really.
I sort of tried it and gone, it's not for me. It's too swingy. I can't.
But yeah, a lot of those kind of card games like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, that kind of thing, they'll play 2-player, don't they, quite well?
They're all sort of 2-player only almost, really. Kinds of competitions and things.
But I would say they're more kind of lifestyle games, aren't they? If you play a Pokemon card game, that's all you'd play, and you'd spend all your money on those kind of cards, or Magic or whatever that's...
And there's Netrunner as well, which I dabbled in.
Oh, yeah.
As well, which people could play.
Yeah.
Which I liked for a bit, but then once I sort of got out of the base game into all the expansions, like, oh my god, where do I go again? And kind of got it fed up. Like, I can't be asked to try and just buy some cards and hope I get some synergy. Because the card decks are all a bit random. Well, you sort of buy one and it's got cards in it, and sort of no real... I don't know, anyway. You've gone on long enough, I think. We'll leave Netrunner for another time, I think.
Yeah. Well, we've given you plenty of options there, so I hope you've got some inspiration for your 2-player games there. We'll wrap it up there then. So thank you very much for joining me, Samuel. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I've really enjoyed it.
Been a pleasure.
Thanks for your reviews and everything.
No problem.
We are Sheffield Board Gamers, so we play on a Tuesday and a Thursday evening, and also on the first Sunday of the month. So if you want to come and play any games with us, feel free. Anybody can come and join. We'll always try and find you a game to join. You don't have to bring anything with you. Just turn up, and we'll put you into a game somewhere. You can find us on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on the forum, which is www.sheffieldboardgamers.com. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, so search for us there. Thank you very much for listening, and again, thank you, Samuel.
Thank you.
And we'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.